Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Watch Darius TV, and I'm back with another review, and this one is of The Handmaid's Tale, Season 5, Episode 10, Safe, the season finale. If you like this video or anything in The Handmaid's Tale, like, comment, subscribe, share this video for reviews of the Season 6 if they have one next year. I'll be doing a review of that. And let's begin with this review. Okay, so overall, I love this season of Handmaid's Tale. It didn't seem like it had as much action as season four. Season four almost felt like it was like the end of the world type of action. It had so much going on. This season was a little bit more low key, I would say. It was more story driven, more character development going on. A lot of writing. I could tell they put a lot into the way how they wrote certain scenes and stuff like that. The compare and contrast of June and Serena, and yeah, I thought this was a pretty good season. It seemed like it went by quick too compared to season four. I guess I don't know. Season four felt like it maybe went by a little bit longer. I don't know if they had more episodes. I don't remember, but yeah, I really gotta say I like this season finale, this season and season finale. The episode starts with June getting a package in the mail. She ordered a bulletproof vest after the shooting from the previous episode, so to protect herself to show you how things are going crazy in Canada. She's preparing for another memorial service, for the people, the soldiers that died in that whole them flying over Gilead, and things clearly went down south after that, downhill after that. So Nick tells Lawrence about the shooting, and Lawrence tells Nick that June had her own choices, and he basically walks off. So he just sort of is very dismissive of whatever June is going through. He's going through his plans of making a new version of Gilead, and you can tell Nick is worried. There's definitely a theme of this season, of this episode, is Nick sort of trying to make sure June is okay, and what he's still willing to do for June. Where Lawrence is just like, nah, to hell with her, basically. Um, Janie and some of the other handmaids are scrubbing the floor, then they start singing Hark Not Life. Unfortunately, it wasn't a Jay Z version, but it is what it is. Still a good, song. And, they're singing, they're enjoying themselves, and then Aunt Lydia hears them and she likes it, but she wants them to sing a more appropriate song, So, yeah, that's that. And it's just basically this season you can see that Aunt Lydia was trying her best to make things better for these women that are handmaids, because as you can see, everything that happened with Esther, she's trying to make things easier for them, even though these women are still basically in servitude. They're enslaved, and to some extent Lydia is too. But she's trying to make this hell into some form of heaven for them, but they can't. They're still handmaids. This is not what they want to do, but she's trying to make this as easy for these women as she can. But the best way she can make it better for them is by breaking them out. Aunt Elizabeth tells Aunt Lydia that Jenny will basically have to go back to being posted in somebody's house to do handmaid's work, which is, getting impregnated. And, this is not what Janie wanted us to do, obviously. And I believe that Aunt Lydia tried this, tell her that she wouldn't have to do it anymore, or tried to make it a way for she wouldn't have to. It just, but that definitely gonna, put more pressure on Aunt Lydia. Even, let me see. She sees disaster. So basically, she feels really tense when she hears that, because she's like, dang, she's gonna have to most likely make Janie go back to being a handmaid, and she sees the effects that this world is having, as you can see what happened with Esther and Janie, and that definitely puts some pressure on Lydia. She doesn't want to go back on her word, but she's really stressed out to figure out what she want to do. Does she make Janie go back to being a handmaid, or but we're going to go back into the rest of that in this review. Aunt Lydia wants Janie to live in Mrs. Putnam's house, aka future Mrs. Lauren's house. But Mrs. Putnam does not want this to happen. She does not want Janie to live with her. And Lydia is trying to care for these women, and make things easier, like I said. But, Mrs. Putnam eventually breaks down and considers it, even though she really doesn't want Janie to live there. I guess after that whole fiasco that happened a few seasons ago where Janie ended up seeing her daughter and getting attached, Mrs. Putnam doesn't want this girl to, get attached to her own daughter, to show you how twisted this world of Gilead is. June has a scene where she's drinking coffee in her sunny kitchen, and she has almost like for the first time, in a while, she has a few seconds of peace. So she hears a knock at the door, and it's from Mark, and he tells them that the shooter that basically was, throwing shots at her in the previous episode, he's been arrested. They talk about that, and he ends up leaving, and June seems to be happy. She's more comfortable now that one problem is done, but another problem ends up coming up. She notices that her neighbors are basically sort of just leaving, so that's another theme of we figure out why that happens at the end of this review. I'll get into that, but she knows that all her neighbors are leaving, and she's trying to figure out, well, what's going on here, and then June notices that she's being stalked by this big truck, like this big pickup truck, and then she's hit by the pickup truck, and then her arm is ran over by that pickup truck. Luke comes out and saves her. Look like he just knocks the guy out, but the guy has a bunch of blood bleeding coming through his head. So eventually, June is just taken to the hospital, and Luke is questioned. After the guy was taken out, we end up finding out that that guy ended up dying. Didn't see that coming. I will say the character June. I can't think of any female character that I've seen on TV go through as much hell as June. Maybe besides maybe Sansa from Game of Thrones. I think maybe she's up there. But I mean, this girl has been through the ringer. I mean, I thought it was. I honestly thought it was a dream. I didn't know that she like really got hit by a pickup truck, I believe it was, and then got her arm ran over. Jeez, I thought it was a dream. I didn't really think that was gonna really happen to her. I didn't even know it was. I thought she was making this in her own head. But um, Nick talks with Mark on a bridge, and they cross over into Canada. Mark, I believe, was going to go see June, and after hearing her event, so that this makes Nick even more sort of frustrated with Lawrence because he's not protecting June. So that has caused some tension later on in the episode. Aunt Lydia talks with Janie about being posted with the Putnam's family, and Janie does not want to be posted. She thought she wouldn't have to do it again, but she ends up deciding to do it again just so she can get close to her daughter, of course, even though, she really doesn't want to do it. She doesn't want to do it. Mrs. Putnam doesn't want her to be there, so, they both end up, having that same type of stressful relationship that most handmaids have with the wives of the house. I don't know what they call the women that dress in turquoise. I don't think it's called a Martha, but, they never like each other. There's never a good relationship between the handmaid and one of the wives. So Nick comes to see June. He kisses her and then he leaves. It seemed like throughout this season they keep constantly having scenes where they look like it's the last time they'll see each other, but then they see each other again. But this looks like it's official that they probably are not going to see each other for a long time when this episode ends. So he sees her, and that this basically infuriates him to basically want to go after Lawrence. Nick and Mark, they conduct some business on a bridge, and Nick tells him to protect June, because Gilead is going to want her to suffer. Gilead is going to really want to come after June. After everything, this whole, rebellion she's created and everything, they're going to want to get after her. And Mark says that June is something to Mark, something special, I guess you can say, basically. Sort of letting Nick know that, June cares for him, a little scene, and then they part ways. So there's that. Luke ends up getting a gun, finally. I thought he would have got a gun a lot earlier, but he decides to get a gun because he, of course, wants to protect June and his family. June seems to be a little bit cautious about it, but, she goes along with it. Janie is brought to Putnam's home, and finds out that her daughter Angela is with her grandparents for the summer. And Mrs. Putnam tells her Angela is her daughter. She tells Mrs. Putnam saying that this is my daughter, basically, which it's not, but I don't know how in the world can she say that, but she, this whole crazy handmaid's world has people feeling like I took your child from you, so your child is mine, basically. So just craziness, just a way to really make Janie feel more uncomfortable, to establish her power, sort of the same thing that Mrs. Wheeler did to Serena. And she's being, possessed. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry about that. So, let me see. So basically, Mrs. Putnam, just like most of these wives in a Handmaid's Tale world, Mrs. Putnam is basically being very possessive, like Mrs. Wheeler, and the whole thing of taking this handmaid's, child away from them and saying it is theirs, just making Janie feel really uncomfortable. It seemed like something that we've seen multiple times, but this one plays out a bit different. You can tell that basically Janie feels like she's in total hell, having to be a handmaid again and having to be in a house with, this lady and everything. But things sort of turn out a bit differently. I'm going to get into that in a few minutes. Aunt Lydia is proud of Janie, that she's back to being a handmaid and, seeing how far she's come. And One Martha ends up telling Janie of June's attack, so that ends up creating this weird sort of switch in Janie's mind. Sort of, I don't know what it is, makes her become more angrier and sort of, I don't know, makes her something changes in her when she hears about June's attack. So Janie has to take pics with Lawrence and Mrs. Putnam, and this whole wedding pictures, I guess. And Janie suddenly just tells Mrs. Putnam off. Like I said, I also thought this was a dream. I thought it was just something she was making up in her head, but she actually ends up really tearing Mrs. Putnam a new one and just is honest with her, saying that they're not friends and all this other stuff like that. Hold on one second. Sorry about that again, guys. Sorry about that. So let's get back into this. So Mrs. Putnam, she seemed like she was trying in her own strange way to be friendly with Janie, but Janie just wasn't having it. And to me personally, I thought that my predictions for season 6 is that I thought she was going to possibly start a rebellion, sort of like a June after this whole speech she had. But things clearly go different at the way this episode ends. I love the writing on the show. There's always so many twists and turns. You can never know what to expect. And I personally had a feeling I thought she was going to make another revolt, be like a second June, but she did say what she said and walked off triumphantly. So that definitely let her know that there wasn't going to be a whole nother regular story of some wife mistreating a handmaid or whatever like that, like how what Serena had to go through. This time, Janie set the tone early. So that was an interesting thing to see, even though it was going to make it harder for her to see her daughter again. June finds out Luke killed the guy that Luke was trying to protect her from, and there'll be more attacks for this in Canada. June knows that, and June just straight up says, "We gotta run." So I like the way they just cut to them just getting out of there. There was no long speech. You just know, like, yo, we gotta get out of here. I just got hit by a car and got my arm ran over. We need to get out of here. I like the way they just cut to that. It was no sit up talking, whatever. It was just they cut straight to it. I like that. June and Luke are about to flee, but Mark stops them, and Mark tells them that American refugees are leaving and he can help them. They were headed west. So that was that. I mean, they're in Canada, so I don't really know too many places they'll go besides another continent or country, I guess. So, yeah. Let me see. Okay, so Nick hits Lawrence at a party after seeing everything that's been going on and everything's been going on with June and dealing with Lawrence. Nick just basically just decides that he can't take it. He goes to this, I think it was a wedding or maybe a reception after Lawrence and Mr. Putnam got married, and he just goes to this event, and just punches him. And Mr. Lawrence says that he's not the one to blame. I could see Mr. McKenzie in the back, and he seemed like he sort of looked at Lawrence in a way like he senses weakness. I thought Mr. Putnam, I'm not Mr. Putnam. I thought Mr. McKenzie was going to be a new antagonist this season, but he was sort of more of in a background. So I'm assuming he's probably going to be maybe a bigger antagonist in season 6. He's been the one that's been trying to get rid of June since he first stepped into the screen. So I thought he'd be more of a threat this season, but it seemed like he's more in the background. He might be a bigger antagonist in season 6. That's my predictions. And so, like I said, Nick punches Lawrence and stuff like that, and that completely just throws away everything that Nick's been working for the past few seasons. So, let it be known that he's also in love with June, this woman that has caused so much hell in Gilead. So that just really just puts Nick in a really bad spot. So, yeah. And Lawrence says that, he's not the one to blame and all this other stuff like that. So even Lawrence knows, like, dang, I kind of screwed up. But, he just is what it is. Lawrence is really nonchalant, but he knows that he doesn't really like what he's done either. But, Lawrence is one of the most complex characters on the show, I believe. But all these characters are complex. Aunt Lydia tells Janie to apologize to Mrs. Putnam, but she refuses. Lydia cries when she sees Janie won't break down. And Janie is definitely making Esther proud. She decided to stand up and fight back, and that's always what Esther would have wanted, and Janie is taken away. We find out it's from the orders of Commander Lawrence. We don't know why he decided to take Janie away. I guess maybe this is to maybe get back at June. I'm not sure, but on orders from Commander Lawrence, they end up taking Janie away. Aunt Lydia tries to stop this, and that clearly does not work. So these officers just push her over, and Janie is just taken away. She's put in a van with another woman as a Martha. I believe she had a bag over her head, and Janie just sort of comforts her. We don't know what's going to happen with Janie. My predictions is Janie's probably going to bite the bullet at the beginning of season 6. I think because it's been a while since we've seen a really beloved character die. So I believe that's my opinion that she's probably going to just probably bite it at the beginning of season 6, I believe. But just to start off the season. Mark tells them how to flee once they get to the airport, or well, not airport, but train station. June tells Mark to tell Nick she will be safe. And she says that in front of Luke, which I thought was kind of awkward because that's her husband. So it's like a weird relationship between your husband and basically your side dude. I've always thought that was pretty odd, but June was able to find some way to bounce it between the two and make that work out for her. So all right. June is feeling some serious anxiety while she's at the train station, and Luke suggests June leave with their child, and Luke sees he won't be able to leave. And so now June and Serena are basically both alone with their babies. We both noticed that, June, she got a kid, and June, Luke turns himself in, so now she's officially a single mom hopping on a train, and we notice somewhere in this world that Serena is also somewhere without a father, and she's a single mom. So they didn't show her none this episode, so I was curious they were going to show her. So June says she ends up finding out that Luke's plan was to never get on a train with her anyway. So there's that. Luke is arrested, and June rides away. Nick seems to also be detained, just like how Luke is detained. For hitting Lawrence, his wife Rose finds out about June and his love for her. She sees he will always be in love with June, and she just sort of ends their marriage, I guess. And he's, of course, demoted from whatever high position he did have. And she says that, he had a good thing going, but ruined it, which is the truth. He really did, but he loves June, so he threw that all away. So he's detained, demoted, and there's that. I hope he don't end up dying for just punching Lawrence, but we don't know. So June has two guys that she's messing with that are basically sort of locked up. So that's crazy. Two baby daddies locked up. June tells the baby that they are going to Hawaii, which I didn't think they were going there. I had no idea where they were going, but I know they're going to go to Hawaii. So the train is going to take them, I guess, to some airport to fly them out to Hawaii, which is pretty wild. I guess I don't know how the show is going to go on from there when they're in two separate places like that. The places in Gilead, United States, Canada, and Hawaii. I don't know how they're going to move that, but all right. And then, lo and behold, she runs into Serena. How convenient. I never thought that Serena would be on the same train as her. That was too much of a coincidence, but everybody was hopping on that train, so I guess what do you expect? And it's like almost like a oh crap moment, and Serena ends up asking her for a diaper, and, just to break the ice or whatever. And it seems like June gives her like a sort of an evil smirk, and Serena sort of gives her like a frightened kind of half smile as these former rivals just sort of stare at each other on a train, and that's it. This is going to be crazy. I don't know what they're going to go with season 6, but I'm guessing that Serena and June are going to be spending a lot of time together, but I doubt they're going to become friends. But as you can see from the writing, they had to work together to sort of resolve issues, and they ended up seeming like they develop a close bond with each other. But it's a really weird place to end the season, though. I mean, they both were on a train, I guess, headed to Hawaii, and they both are single moms, and it's pretty odd. I can't really think of any predictions for those two, but yeah, season was really great. I love the writing. I've always thought Handmaid's Tale was a phenomenal show. I cannot wait till season 6. I can't really sit up and think of any more theories I have what season 6 is going to do, but I do believe that Janie's probably going to bite the bullet, and I'm not sure about Esther. She's going to definitely come back. Can't wait to see her. But the writing was really good this season. Yeah, I don't know much else to say, but the writing was really good. I liked this season. I wish I had a little bit more action like season 4, but writing was phenomenal. Love The Handmaid's Tale. Great show. If you like this video and anything Handmaid's Tale, I'll be doing a review of season 6 next year. And if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe. Share the video for more reviews of all the latest movies, TV shows, music, and thanks for watching my review.